Radio Algeria International, our voice in the world.
This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
Hello and welcome to Radio Algeria International. Starting with the headlines, the President of the Republic, Abdelmadjid Tebboune, has chaired a meeting of the High Security Council. Here in Algiers at the second forum of the African Petroleum Producers Organization, the Minister of State in charge of Energy, Mohamed Al-Qab, said that Algeria, faithful to its commitment, aims working to consolidate strategic partnership with African countries, particularly in the energy sector. As the UN once again called for the enforcement of the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, the Israeli army pursued its bombardment of the territory, killing scores of Palestinians. Hello and welcome to Radio Algeria International. I'm Jamal Silmani. The President of the Republic, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, Minister of National Defense, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, has chaired a meeting of the High Security Council. The meeting was held yesterday here in Algiers. The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, received the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Turkey, Hakan Fidan, and the accompanying delegation in Algiers. The meeting took place in the presence of the head of the Presidency's office, Mr. Boualem Boualem, and the Minister of State in charge of Foreign Affairs, National Community Abroad, and African Affairs, Mr. Ahmed Attaf. The Minister of State in charge of Foreign Affairs, National Community Abroad, and African Affairs, Mr. Ahmed Attaf, has emphasized that the third session of the Algerian-Turkish Planning Commission held here in Algiers had achieved all its expected goals. Here with me in the studio, Mariam Barshi, who is tell us more about in this report.
Thank you, Jamal. In a speech delivered on the occasion, Mr. Attaf stated that the session reaffirmed the soundness of the decision by President Abdelmadjid Tebboune and Recep Tayyip Erdogan to set up the Planning Committee as an institutional platform for addressing shared priorities and resolving potential obstacles to the Algerian-Turkish partnership. He also expressed his belief that the selection of participating sectors in this session was highly successful.
Once again, this session has confirmed the soundness of the decision made by the leaders of the two brotherly countries, President Abdelmadjid Tebboune and his brother President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, to set up this planning committee as an institutional framework bringing together the most important ministerial sectors and relevant national bodies. Its purpose is to delve into shared priorities and overcome any obstacles that may hinder their achievement and implementation. As tangible realities in the field of Algerian-Turkish partnership, I sincerely and honestly believe that the selection of the present and participating sectors in this session was successful to a great extent.
He emphasized that the Algerian-Turkish partnership had been taken on a fully strategic nature that should not be underestimated, highlighted that Algeria was now Turkey's top trading partner in Africa, while Turkey had become the leading foreign investor in Algeria outside the hydrocarbon sector. The Algerian and Turkish foreign ministers highlighted the promising future of bilateral cooperation, noting that joint investment projects, particularly in energy and Saharan agriculture, are set to move into production soon, alongside expanded Turkish investments in steel, iron and textiles. They emphasized effort to strengthen the legal framework governing trade and investment, including a draft preferential trade agreement and an investment protection accord, while also pointing to major opportunities through the African Continental Free Trade Area. What set the Algerian-Turkish partnership apart is its comprehensive scope and focus on human development. Practical steps are underway to implement decisions made by both presidents, such as establishing cultural centers in each country and launching a Turkish international school in Algeria, along with ongoing collaboration in education, research and tourism. From his part, Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan hailed the exceptional progress in bilateral cooperation and identified further opportunities in energy and health. He also mentioned 21 draft agreements ready for signing, and expressed hope for their finalization ahead of the upcoming high-level Strategic Cooperation Council meeting, commending the Joint Commission's legislative efforts. Over to you, Jamal.
Thank you, Mariam. Now, the Minister of State and in charge of Energy, Mines and Renewable Energies, Mohammed Arqab, has presided over the opening ceremony of the second edition of the Forum of Directors of Research, Development and Innovation of the Member States of the African Petroleum Producers Organization, APO, here in Algiers. The Energy Minister said that Algeria, faithful to its continental commitments, is working to consolidate strategic partnerships with African countries, particularly in the energy sector, by supporting research and development projects and encouraging the transition to a sustainable and integrated energy model. He pointed out that organizing this edition under the theme Innovation and Cooperation reflects the collective will to build partnerships based on knowledge and best practices with the aim of exploiting natural resources responsibly and effectively, especially in light of climate challenges and the energy transition. The minister also went back to the efforts made by the national company Sonatrach, particularly in the field of research and development. Mr. Arqab reiterated Algeria's unwavering commitment to supporting African countries in the field of exploration, training, and local manufacturing.
I reiterate Algeria's firm commitment to supporting African countries in the hydrocarbon, oil and gas production sectors and to sharing its more than 60 years of experience through its leading institutes such as the Algiers Petroleum Institute. I reaffirm that Algeria, through its national companies like Sonatrach, puts innovation, research and development at the heart of its strategic vision, not only for national economic growth, but also to effectively contribute to building a prosperous and integrated future for our African continent.
Let's recall that the forum was attended by the Secretary General of the African Petroleum Producers Organization, APO, Dr. Omar Farouk Ibrahim, and the CEO of Sonatrach, Rashid Hashishi, along with a group of experts, researchers, and representatives of member states. The Minister of State, Minister of Energy, Mines and Renewable Energies, Mr. Mohammed Arqab, has had discussions with the Ambassador of the U.S. to Algeria, Ms. Elizabeth Moore Obin, on ways and means to strengthen bilateral cooperation, particularly in the hydrocarbon sector. Asia Bikar has the details.
The two parties discussed ways and means to consolidate bilateral cooperation, notably through the exploration of new opportunities in the hydrocarbon sector, particularly in the upstream and downstream sectors, electricity, transmission and transfer, as well as energy innovation, including carbon capture, storage and emission reduction technologies. Mr. Arqab emphasized the importance of boosting relations with major American companies, notably ExxonMobil and Chevron, within the framework of established cooperation in exploration and production capacity expansion. He emphasized the importance of cooperation in the exploitation of strategic mineral resources and metals and the intensification of geological studies, recalling the numerous partnership opportunities in this vital area, particularly in light of the promising mining potential and a strong political will to strengthen the sector's contribution to national development. Regarding renewable energies, the two parties emphasized the importance of developing cooperation in the areas of research, development, and innovation in sustainable technological solutions, which can contribute to strengthening the energy transition and preserving the environment. For her part, the American ambassador hailed the quality of bilateral relations and the growing interest shown by U.S. companies to invest in Algeria thanks to a favorable economic climate and an attractive legislative framework, as well as attractive facilitation and incentive measures to develop long-term partnerships.
The Energy Minister, Mr. Arqab, has emphasized the Algerian government's commitment to supporting investors and providing all the necessary facilities for the success of joint projects. Mariam Barshi tells us more in this report.
The statement was made during a meeting with the Saudi delegation led by the president of the Algerian Saudi Business Council, Raid al-Mazroua, which took place in the presence of the Secretary of State to the Minister of Energy in charge of Mines, Karima Tafar, and the Ambassador to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to Algeria, Abdullah bin Nasser al-Busairi. The meeting focused on strengthening bilateral cooperation in the fields of energy mining, renewable energy and seawater desalination, and examining prospects for their development by examining partnership and investment opportunities in Algeria. The two sides expressed their shared desire to expand cooperation in the oil and gas sectors, particularly in the development of petrochemical industries, equipment manufacturing, and the exploitation of mineral resources and strategic metals. The Minister of Energy gave a comprehensive presentation on the sector's strategy and the various development programs for the energy, mining and renewable energy sectors, highlighting the promising investment opportunities offered by the new legal frameworks for investment, hydrocarbons and mining. The significant potential for cooperation in the fields of renewable energies and green hydrogen was also discussed, as was the national seawater desalination program, particularly regarding the establishment of a local industry for equipment and technology related to these fields. Regarding the mining sector, Mr. Arqab encouraged Saudi companies to invest in the exploration and exploitation of mineral resources, particularly rare earth and the strategic metals, emphasizing the transfer of technology and know-how and training as pillars for fruitful cooperation.
For their part, the members of the Saudi delegation welcomed the level of bilateral relations and the growing interest of Saudi companies in the Algerian market, given the attractive and transparent investment climate. It also was agreed to continue coordination through the holding of subsequent bilateral meetings with a view to identifying concrete projects and establishing win-win partnerships. The Secretary of State to the Minister of Foreign Affairs in charge of the national community abroad, Sofiane Shaib, has paid a visit to the national community settled in The Hague, Netherlands. He stressed that the meeting was also an opportunity to address the concerns of the community.
This meeting is part of a series of visits I'm making abroad with the aim of engaging with members of our community overseas. The meeting of today was interactive and positive, as the member of our community raised many questions and concerns which were addressed, and through the responses we were able to highlight the efforts made by the state to strengthen bonds with our community members and to facilitate different services provided to them.
In this respect, the Secretary of State highlighted the efforts made to strengthen the links between the Algerian community and the homeland and to involve it in all aspects of national development. You're still listening to Radio Algeria International. This is the English service. The Speaker of the National People's Assembly, Mr. Brahim Boughali, has stressed here in Algiers that the national cohesion between all the components of society has blocked the way to the conspirators and enemies of Algeria, as well as to the nostalgics of the abject colonial era. Mr. Boughali said that the growing threats posed to the country's geopolitical environment cause greater vigilance, notably in the face of the plans made by certain parties who disregarded the principles of good neighborliness. In this respect, the Speaker of the Assembly praised the ability of the People's National Army to discourage anyone who would dare attack or undermine national territory. Mr. Boughali emphasized that the Assembly's operational level has enabled the country to occupy its rightful place, particularly at the colonial or at the continental and regional levels marked by conflicts and terrorist threats, as well as prohibited activities exploited by hostile forces and groups with dubious and proven allegiances. He added that Algeria is aware of its historical and civilizational responsibilities because it is faithful to the oath of its martyrs, determined to forge ahead towards edification, strengthened by its aware youth, its committed elites, its proud people, and its valiant army, imbued embodied with values to define or to defend the homeland. Now, the Speaker of the National Observatory of the Civil Society, Ms. Ibtisam Hamlawi, has stressed here in Algiers the extreme importance of the role of the civil society regarding the various challenges facing the country. More with Asya Bikar.
Ms. Hamlawi told the Algerian Radio Forum that in view of the challenges the world is facing, the civil society has an extremely important role to play in tackling the various challenges facing our country, stressing that the National Observatory for Civil Society is an essential foundation in the operation to raise awareness among all players and citizens of their role within society. Ms. Hamlawi stressed that Algeria's enemies aim to undermine its youth. In response, the National Observatory of Civil Society has developed a strategy focusing on student organizations as key partners due to their close ties with students.
It is certain that all the enemies of Algeria are striving to destroy this generation that we have here in Algeria. That is the reason why today, at the National Observatory of Civil Society, and based on the specific nature of our society, we have developed a strategy for action that we began preparing since taking over the leadership of the observatory. We thought that first, we should rely on student organizations, given that they play a role in the observatory's work and they are part of this body. Student organizations are the ones in closest contact with students, and we had exchanges and held numerous meetings with these student organizations, and they provided us with information, some of it even highly confidential, about what is happening in universities and how these scourges are spreading.
Regarding the revision of the law on associations, the Speaker of the Observatory emphasized that associations must be efficient and transparent in their financing and fundraising by providing them with protection and training.
Now to world news, as the UN once again called for the enforcement of a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. The Israeli army pursued its bombardments of the territory, killing scores of Palestinians. Medical sources were quoted by the news agency Wafa as saying that scores of others were wounded in the continuing airstrikes launched by the Israeli army against several towns, including Gaza, Rafah and Khan Yunis, in the southern part of the enclave. In this respect, the UN Secretary General spokesman deplored the blockade imposed for 50 days now by the Israeli authorities on Gaza had totally blockaded the entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza. In a similar move, the head of UNRWA, Filippo Lazzarini, affirmed that the Gaza Strip had become a land of despair at a time when the Israeli occupying forces is using humanitarian aid as a blackmail and a weapon of war. Now, the A3+ group at the Security Council, including Algeria, Somalia, Sierra Leone and Guyana, has called for the presence of the multinational security support mission in Haiti to be strengthened in order to help the security services to establish peace in this country, which is experiencing a new upsurge in violence. The details with Mariam Barshi.
Speaking at the Security Council on behalf of the A3+ Group, Guyana's permanent representative to the United Nations, Caroline Rodriguez, said with only 4% deployed on the ground, the Multinational Security Support Mission in Haiti, MSS, is unable to carry out its mandate effectively.
Progress in Haiti on any front, including the restoration of democracy, hinges squarely on getting the security situation under control. At just 40% deployed, the MSS mission is unable to effectively carry out its mandate. The MSS must be fully deployed and adequately resourced to provide the Haitian National Police with the level of support needed to enforce order, increase the flow of humanitarian aid, and create the conditions necessary for the planned democratic elections. Indeed, the A3+ is concerned that without any improvement in the security situation,
the diplomat warned that the crisis of displaced persons in Haiti has reached unprecedented levels this year, increasing by almost 300% in just 1 year. The members of the group also urged the international community to stand firm and support a Haitian-led political process that prioritizes peace, stability and the restoration of democratic order in the country.
The transitional governance process leading to democratic elections, which was facilitated by CARICOM with Haitian stakeholders, remains critical. We are concerned about the obstacles impeding the political process and underscore the imperative for all Haitian political stakeholders, in particular the TPC, to remain fully committed to this process, always putting the Haitian people first. Progress is possible in Haiti with clear unity of purpose and the combined efforts of national, regional, and international stakeholders.
The A3+ group called for the full implementation of the set of sanctions imposed on Haiti, stressing it is a tool for curbing gang violence and stemming the flow of arms and munitions in the country.
The special representative of the Secretary General for Haiti, Maria Isabel Salvador, told the Security Council that the security or situation in Haiti has further deteriorated since her last briefing and called on the Council members to better understand what is liable to become a point of no return from the Haitian crisis.
Stepping up international support for Haiti is more critical than ever, particularly through increased funding and operational capacity for the multinational security support mission. But at this critical juncture, all member states must increase support to Haiti's security forces, particularly the multinational security support mission, not as a matter of choice, but of necessity, as no viable alternative remains. The Secretary General's 24 February letter to the Council provides proposals that must be urgently considered.
That was the special representative of the Security Council for Haiti, Maria Isabel Salvador. Stay tuned to Radio Algeria International.
Hello and welcome to Radio Algeria International. Today, April 22nd, the world comes together to mark International Mother Earth Day, a day that reminds us of our shared responsibility to care for the planet we call home. Earth Day began in 1970 in the United States, but it was only in 2009 that the United Nations officially recognized April 22nd as International Mother Earth Day, giving it a deeper, more inclusive meaning. A meaning that speaks to the interconnectedness of people, nature, and climate across borders. In this program, we'll explore how this day matters globally, and notably here in Algeria, a country where climate, nature, and sustainability intersect in powerful and pressing ways. Let's begin with the bigger picture. International Mother Earth Day is not just about planting trees. It's about recognizing that our health, economy, and security all depend on a healthy environment and planet. Over the years, Earth Day themes have called on us to invest in our planet, restore our Earth, and take urgent climate action. The UN warns that we are in the middle of a triple crisis: climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. This triple crisis is a wake-up call for all of us, and few have expressed the urgency of this moment more clearly than the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who reminds us of what's truly at stake.
On International Mother Earth Day, we reflect on humanity's most important relationship, our relationship with the natural world. From the air we breathe, to the water we drink, to the soil that grows our food, humanity's health depends on the health of Mother Earth. Yet, we seem hell-bent on destruction. Our actions are laying waste to forests, jungles, farmland, wetlands, oceans, coral reefs, rivers, seas and lakes. Biodiversity is collapsing as 1 million species teeter on the brink of extinction. We must end these relentless and senseless wars on nature. We have the tools, the knowledge and the solutions. But we must pick up the pace. We need accelerated climate action with deeper, faster emission cuts to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. We also need massively scaled up investments in adaptation and resilience, particularly for the most vulnerable countries and communities we have done the least to cause the crisis.
But hope isn't lost. From renewable energy to recycling innovations, communities around the globe are acting. Impactful environmental initiatives are making a difference, In Africa, the Great Green Wall project has restored approximately 30 million hectares of degraded land, aiming to combat desertification and improve livelihoods. The United Nations Clean Seas campaign has united 69 countries representing 76% of the world's coastlines in efforts to reduce marine litter and plastic pollution. Additionally, global corporations are committing to 100% renewable energy through initiatives like RE100, 100% renewable electricity. These collective actions demonstrate that when communities, governments, and businesses collaborate, meaningful environmental progress is achievable. Now, what role does Algeria play in all of this? Algeria, with its diverse ecosystems from the Mediterranean coast to the vast Sahara, faces major environmental challenges. Desertification is a growing threat, especially in the south. Overgrazing, deforestation, and climate change are all speeding up this process. But Algeria has also taken bold steps. One of the largest projects was the Green Dam, a vast reforestation effort aimed at halting the desert's advance. More recently, solar power initiatives have taken root in places like Hasirmel and Ghardaya, tapping into our greatest natural resource, the sun. The Ministry of Environment has also launched programs to reduce plastic use, promote recycling, and support eco-education in school. Still, much work remains to be done. So, what can each of us do to help Mother Earth? Not just today, but every day. First, reduce waste. Whether at home, at work, or in public spaces, cutting down on single-use plastics can have a profound impact on the environment. Simple changes like using reusable bags, bottles, and containers make a significant difference. Second, support local green initiatives. From tree planting campaigns to efforts aimed at safeguarding water resources, young people in cities like Oran and Tizi Ouzou are already leading the charge with local cleanup events. These grassroots movements are vital, and we can all contribute by participating or supporting them in any way we can. Third, use energy wisely. It is important to be mindful of our consumption. Switching off lights when they are not in use, using energy-efficient appliances, and opting for public transport or carpooling whenever possible helps conserve energy and reduces carbon footprints. And finally, talk about it. Environmental issues are everyone's concern. The more we engage in conversations, share knowledge, and raise awareness, the stronger the culture of environmental responsibility becomes in Algeria. Together, we can create a community that values and actively works towards a sustainable future. But while individual actions matter deeply, lasting change requires leadership at every level, from local communities to global institutions. The United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres reminds us of the urgent need to take collective responsibility and bold actions.
Healthy ecosystems, from oceans and rivers to forests and prairies, are also critical in our fight against climate change. Let's get to work to implement the historic UN Biodiversity Agreement to ensure that 30% of Earth's land and water is protected by 2030. At every step, governments must lead the way, but corporations, institutions, and civil society also have a vital role. Finally, we must learn from the time-worn wisdom, knowledge, and leadership of indigenous peoples, whose environmental stewardship stretches back millennia